Three, two, one. And welcome back to the All Ball Podcast. That is the Queen of England. If you're watching on YouTube, Leighton is holding up the Queen of England.
What are you talking about?
Not really sure why that was necessary, but okay. Okay, so let's get right into it. NBA trades. There was a big trade that came through today involving Domantas Sabonis. That was just unnecessary. Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and Justin Holiday. Jeremy Lamb's still in the league?
Yeah, he was lights out for the Pacers, bro.
And Justin Holiday were traded to the Sacramento Kings for Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson, and draft compensation that is yet to be named.
I would say.
What are your thoughts on this trade?
I guess I would say overall the Kings, won the trade, but it doesn't. I don't know if that makes them a playoff team.
Yeah,
The roster, the Kings' current roster, is very similar to the Pacers' was-be roster that they just had with Sabonis. I mean, they pretty much flip-flopped their best players. The only difference is De'Aaron Fox still in Sacramento. So I think that improves the team. And I don't know if they're just looking to maybe – because if they land like a big free agent in the offseason and they still keep this current roster, that makes them interesting. But I don't know. Sacramento's really not a very –
It doesn't make either of them a championship team.
Free agent destination. So it's like – I don't know. I get why the Kings were moving off Buddy Hield. I completely understand that because he's a good NBA player, above average NBA player, but he's not elite. Like a lot of people, like when he won the, what was that called? Like the college basketball.
Yeah, because he went off
like the college basketball MVP thing or whatever it's called.
He just went off in the tournament.
He had a really good tournament, right? He had a really good season at Oklahoma.
And the Kings owner said he was the next Steph Curry.
Was he drafted, actually, by the Pelicans?
No. He was drafted
I think it was.
Buddy Hield?
Yeah, who was he drafted? It wasn't the Kings, was it?
Oh, no, you're right. The Kings owner said that when he was traded to them. Yeah, he was drafted by
either way,
You're right.
Either way, so they traded for him Boogie Cousins, who was the best center in the league at the time, because they thought he had potential. And he just never
said he was the next Steph Curry.
Yeah, he just never lived up to it, I guess.
Well, duh.
So I get why they're moving off him because they've been on. It's been 5 years, and he's really not improved. If anything, he's gotten worse shooting wise in his career, which is just weird. So I get it. The Pacers, I don't know. The Pacers are probably tied with the Magic, the most boring franchise in the league. I genuinely think they might be the least interesting team in the league.
Especially now. They got a little bit when they had what was his name? Oh, come on. He was on the Thunder. And then he got traded to the Pacers. Oladipo. Mm-hmm. They were interesting for a minute, and then he got hurt.
He was on the Heat. You know what? He was on the Heat. I don't know if he still is, but he was. And he's been injured and stuff. Really good. Yeah, he just got pretty hit hard with injuries. And sometimes this is what it takes for a player to really kind of shine and sprout out. So they just move and get out, get out of a bad organization. The fact that they got Tyrese Haliburton, that's definitely a plus. He probably should have been Rookie of the Year last year. Mm-hmm. I like him. He's pretty good. He's kind of like SGA in Oklahoma City, just like not as good yet. So I do think he has some potential, but just from the Kings side, I guess I get the trade. It makes him more relevant in the West. Like they might be able to sneak into that play-in tournament spot. I think. I mean, they're basically neck and neck with the Blazers right now for that bottom play-in tournament spot. So I guess if you don't have anything to add, we might move into the Blazers trade.
Right. I just think it's tough. Well, I think it's tough when you make big swings like this to stay mediocre. Like, this doesn't put them in contention for a title. And if anything, it just keeps them mediocre. And when you stay mediocre in the NBA, it's hard to get out of that. You don't get a good draft picks. You can't attract, if you're in a place like Sacramento, you're not really going to attract good free agents. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Especially in the NBA where over half the team makes the playoffs. If every year they're on the outside looking in, like that's not a great spot for either franchise.
No, it's not. No, not at all.
Especially in the NBA, where I think, like, because these markets, there's no other professional franchise in Sacramento. Indiana has, who do they have? They have the Colts, who's bigger.
No, so there's a hockey team in Sacramento.
Yeah. Oh, they have the.
Is it the? Oh, hold on. Not the Kings.
No, that's LA. I don't think. Do they have one? I don't think they have a hockey team. Do they?
Yeah. Oh no, they don't.
So, but you just look at it like they're easily the least profitable and interesting franchise in California, especially for basketball. Second to none to the Dodgers. I would imagine the Dodgers are a crap ton more popular. USC, I would think probably the Angels are with Mike Trout. You got the Rams and Chargers who are on the come up. You got all these other teams. So like the Kings really need to compete for popularity and attention. And they just like being mediocre. Like we were saying this, remember about the Dolphins? Like it might be better for you to be the worst team in the NBA than to be like just below average. Just because of popularity. You're more likely to get attention.
Right.
So, and you look at like Indiana, they share a city with the Colts. They are in the same division as the Bulls, who are one of the best franchise. Well,
historic.
Jordan kind of carried them. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say one of the best franchises, but they're very popular, obviously. The Bucks, who just won the championship, the Cavaliers, who won it with LeBron a couple of years ago, and they're in the division with the Pistons, who, I mean, they were good for a while, like 90s to mid 2000s. Yeah. They were a good franchise. They haven't been recently, but they're probably the least interesting team in their division.
And yeah, so I'm going to be honest. I just really don't care about this trade that much. Like, because it doesn't really do anything.
No, it doesn't.
It kind of turns out to a wash. Like, I'd say the Kings won, but not a ton.
Maybe they got something up their sleeve, but I guess let's move on to the other trade that I think is a little bit more important.
Yeah, I would agree. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so the other trade was Portland traded CJ McCollum, who they've actually been looking to move on for a while here, Larry Nance and Tony Snell to the Pelicans. The Blazers will receive Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, Nickel Alexander Walker, Didi Louzada, and future first-round pick and 2 future second-round picks. So I think this is a trade for the Pelicans that they're trying to show, like, they're trying to show Zion they're committed. I think that's what this is from the Pelicans. Because they got rid of Lonzo or they didn't get rid of him, but they just didn't re-sign Lonzo this offseason. I think this is a trade from the Pelicans to show Zion that they're committed before he comes up for a big deal.
Yeah, definitely with retaining Zion, this is going to benefit them. I guess schematic wise, I think CJ McCollum is very similar to Brandon Ingram. They're okay defenders. Brandon Ingram's probably a little bit better, but they're just mid-range shot creators is really their offensive play style. Like
right.
CJ McCollum's a little bit better at distributing the ball. Like he's ran point guard in Portland when Dame doesn't play. So he knows how to handle the ball and dish it. And he can do that in New Orleans if that's what they're going to be looking for him to do, especially with moving on from Josh Hart. That maybe that's kind of what their intent is behind trading for him. But I think that'll definitely help in retaining Zion. I'm looking at it from the Blazers end because I know Damian Lillard's my favorite player. I guess I'm not a Blazers fan more than a Damian Lillard fan. Like I say, I'm a Blazers fan just because I root for him. So in turn, I root for his team. But the front office is making this trade because this is what they said, is they're trying to correct the lineup suitable to build around Damian Lillard or whatever. So that doesn't make any sense to me because the fact that they went all in on this trade kind of, to me, rings off that they're trying to get younger, get draft picks, just completely reset, especially with Anthony Simmons coming up. Like, he's actually been playing really good for the Blazers. He's been better this year than CJ McCollum has. So to me, it rings off like a complete rebuild, which would mean they're probably, I would think, dishing Damian Lillard. But the fact that they're saying they're doing it as a rebuild or a retool of the lineup around him, just to me does not make any sense at all. Especially when you look at it, it hasn't worked since he was drafted in 2012. So why is it? I mean,
I see what you're saying.
Like, just peel it off, get rid of him, and restart.
Yeah, I don't think they had a lot of options because you can't just move on from a player like Damian Lillard. Like, that's really hard to do. You know what I mean? To just move on from somebody like that, that's really tough because you don't find players like that. Like,
no, especially
there's only a couple of them in the league, and so when you have one like that, what?
I guess, especially in Portland,
right? You got to build around that because you're not going to get a player like that in free agency. You can only get it through the draft, and that's hard to do. You know, it's hard to hit on players like that. So, I mean, I see what they're doing, especially like getting more draft picks. That also helps. Like I said, so from their perspective, I see it's just tough. Portland's just gonna be tough. Like they've been working on it for a long time, and also getting rid of a player like if you can't make it work with a player like CJ McCollum, like what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
know.
I think it just shows that the Blazers were stuck. I think that's what this trade shows.
I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs after making that trade. CJ's really been the only one while Lillard's been out, just keeping them afloat. Like they're in that bottom spot for the play-in. And now you look at the two teams below them, I think is New Orleans and Sacramento, who upgraded. I would imagine that they're going to overtake. One of them two teams would overtake them, if not both.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say the Blazers probably just figure the season's, they're throwing it out pretty much. So maybe they're just trying to let the young guys play and trade some in the offseason, make some good draft picks, try and hit. I don't know. They're a weird franchise, to be honest, just because they're not super popular, obviously, especially being in the same state as, like, I would say Oregon football is probably the most popular thing. And I would say probably the Seahawks are more popular in Oregon than the Blazers are, even though Seattle's not in Oregon, but still, it's up there.
So, now I'm just thinking, like, from New Orleans, like, they just have 3 ball-dominant players now.
Yeah, like that. I don't know.
That's like,
the
thing is, what the Nets tried to do, to a much lesser degree. Obviously, Zion, Ingram, and McCollum aren't Irving, Harden, and Durant, but it's just not. I don't see how the fit works. It's just 3 ball-dominant players, and neither of them. Well, McCollum shoots well, but the other 2 aren't great from 3.
Yeah, I don't know if they're planning, like I said, on using McCollum as more of a distributor point guard position because he's averaged like 5 assists from the 2 spot like his whole career, and that's actually pretty decent for a shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he can pass it, he can handle the ball. it was actually more or less split when Lillard was playing. They would pretty much just come down there and dribble a lot and shoot. Even when Lillard was playing, he put up 20 points per game for quite a while in Portland, so he can score when he needs to. So I guess it's possible as well with just the inconsistency of Zion playing, just because of his injuries, that they're just trying to ensure that they get a play-in spot and possibly make the playoffs to try and show him that they're committed to a long-term run. I don't know. Not really any big trades yet, but Harden got pulled from the lineup tonight. So there's a lot of speculation around him being dealt before the trade deadline, which I think
he would be. Was
it the 10th or the 11th or something for the trade deadline? It's coming up. It's coming up.
It is.
10th?
No.
We can check it out too. But either way, it's coming up. So I was thinking this on my way back from school today, driving home. Remember how last week you said Harden for Simmons, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? I could see that, and I actually do think it makes sense for both teams.
I know.
I do think it makes sense. Here's why.
Yeah, I know.
So I think the reason the Nets traded for Harden was to get their injury-prone superstar and their mentally challenged, I guess to call him.
Complicated.
Okay.
Or challenging. Mentally challenging.
Mentally challenging superstar to the playoffs, because James Harden is one of the best all-time regular season performers. He's very efficient on offense and one of the best distributors and ball handlers in the league. And that's historically, you look at just how often he gets to the free throw line and how elite he is at just getting his own shot. He's one of the most efficient offensive players in the NBA in the history. So I think that they were more or less kind of going along the lines of a Westbrook to the Lakers deal, where they just need him there to give him minutes in production and get him to the playoffs. Right. Let their stars rest so they're healthy, so they're not missing time like last year. But it's not working because he's been injured this year. Harden, I'm talking about. And he's not happy with the coach in the Kyrie Irving situation. And so it's not working. It's not working. And so Harden's purpose, which is for sure not in the playoffs, they're not looking for him to put up big numbers in the playoffs because he never has. He always digresses in the playoffs and plays a lot worse than he does in the regular season. So I guess you're close enough to the playoffs, and I think that they're pretty much a lock to make it with how bad the East is. They might as well deal him and just try to start working on something else that could give him that next level, an edge in the playoffs. Because he's shown in his career, he definitely underperforms in the playoffs. And so maybe a Ben Simmons trade where they can space the floor with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and don't have the best interior scorer probably since Shaq, clogging up the paint in Joel Embiid. Like, he's not going to be the brick wall that Ben Simmons is running into when he tries dunking on people. And so I think it does fit offensive-wise for both teams and kind of the mindset, especially for the Nets.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think it works out really well for both teams. But then here's a problem with the Nets. Now they got two people who are just two point guards that are just so difficult. Oh, my. I got to be a nightmare. Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine. Durant. Oh, man. If I was Durant, I would get the hell out of there.
That's it.
Dude, why would Durant want to come back?
For sure. That'd be a fun one. They might be just doing it just to make money. They get talked about a lot.
Dude, oh my God. I can't even. Durant would get the hell out of there. Dude, I can't even imagine. Think about that. Think about who said this. That I think it was Colin Cowherd. He was like, yeah, how does Durant feel now that he left Steph Curry, the most compatible, adaptable superstar almost ever, for Kyrie Irving, one of the most difficult ever. Now add Ben Simmons to that. Dude, you can't think about Think about that. Kevin Durant went from Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to potentially being with Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. Oh my gosh, dude. He would have to leave. He'd have to leave. Bro, he can't stick around for that.
Yeah, I think that it would be enticing for Ben Simmons because he doesn't have to adjust his game. So that's why I don't think that it would be like as big of an issue, I guess. But that's funny. And I think with how just disruptive and chaotic that situation is in Philly, that like they just got to get rid of Simmons somehow. And I definitely think that that's you look at it like I think Harden would be a decent fit in Philly. It's a big enough market.
Yeah, no, I think he would do well in Philly. I think it would be great for Philly. Dude, the Nets, that locker room, dude, I can't even. Oh my God, I just keep thinking about that.
That'd be funny. Oh I genuinely think that would be funny.
That would be the most toxic. No. And don't forget, Durant himself is very petty. Don't forget that. Durant has his own issues. So lest we forget Durant burners and the fact that he gets hurt over everything. Okay. Don't forget why he's out of the Warriors. Don't forget.
Can you even think of another landing spot for Harden right now? A couple other places. I said it a little while ago. I was thinking the Celtics, probably not Houston.
Miami would be good, but I don't know how they'd make it work.
That's another one. I could see Miami, them trading a couple of young pieces.
The Kings.
Just try and go for a run. But that's about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
low key, the Blazers should have offered McCollum for Harden. Well, and obviously other pieces, but
I don't think Harden would have done that. I don't think he would have went to
Portland. Why not? You don't think he would have wanted to play with Damian Lillard?
I don't think he would have went to Portland and been happy.
Maybe not, but
he likes going to clubs and gentlemen's clubs and
yeah, you're right.
He's kind of got the OBJ thing to him where he needs a big city, I think. So that's why I don't think he would have wanted to go to Portland. But that would have been cool. I do think they work together good, for sure.
I would think so.
Because I think Damian Lillard, kind of like Steph Curry, is a better two guard than a point guard. Where you got to let him just run around and come off screens and get open. They could, obviously, both players are great at getting their own shot, too, and can shoot from anywhere. So
he doesn't fall apart in the playoffs. We already know that. So
I think that would have been a good fit, and that's cool to think of. But I doubt Harden would want to go to Portland.
No, that wouldn't. Well, it's already too late. That won't already happen. But I think the 76ers are a landing spot. I think Miami could potentially be a landing spot. Who else has some young pieces?
You're not with me on Boston?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
yeah.
Because I think it has to be
the Knicks.
I think it has to be a big market wherever Harden
trade him
goes.
to the Knicks. Everybody always thinks they can save the Knicks. Just ain't happening.
To the Lakers, bro?
No. Who are the Lakers going to trade?
Reunite.
Who are the Lakers going to trade?
Reunite. Brody and KD, bro. Reunite them. Hey, last time they played together, they made the finals.
No. I need listen.
Wait, no, last time they played together, they lost.
Harden. I need Harden and Russell Westbrook on the same team. Oh, I need that again. Oh, that would be glorious. Two players that absolutely gag in the playoffs. Two players that absolutely gag in the playoffs.
Maybe it cancels out and they just turn up.
I doubt it.
Harden for LeBron, straight up. Would you do it if you're the Nets?
Dude, that's not bad. Hey, yo.
All right. Next thing.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to... Because I'm pretty sure just the fact that they pulled him tonight, that he's going to get traded. It's just that's what you do normally. Are you drinking piss? What is that?
No, it's water with tropical pineapple mango.
You put deodorant in there? What is that?
Oh, this is it's like the Mio.
That looks like piss water.
Not, so.
Huh. All right. Next.
Gross.
Next thing.
Yeah. So, okay. College football rankings. College football, not rankings. Sorry, excuse me. College football recruiting rankings
Oh my
were
god.
released. I think just this morning. So
let's get this out of the way quick. We say this like a lot of times when we bring up college football, but we're Badgers fans, and it was a little underwhelming and disappointing looking at the rankings here. Seeing
they don't
all the
recruit well.
No,
but I
not
told you. I told you why that was a couple weeks ago. I told you.
Because the weather sucks. All we eat is cheese and milk.
No, bro, it's too cold here, and it's a 30-minute walk across campus to get to my gosh darn classes, let alone from the athlete facility center, which is right next to where I live in Camp Randall. And who wants to be walking for 30 minutes in the winter when it's -4? Ain't nobody want to be doing that. Now, granted.
Think about it. You could wear red and white.
Granted, this is a lovely campus. I love UW-Madison. I wouldn't go anywhere else. But it is tough. Anyway. So the top 5 was Texas A&M coming with a surprise. 29 commits. Yeah, Jimbo. 7 5-stars, 19 4-stars. At number 2 is Alabama with 3 5-stars, 19 4-stars. Georgia at number 3 with 5 5-stars and 15 4-stars. Number 4 is Ohio State with 2 5-stars and 17 4-stars. Number 5 is Texas with 2 5-stars and 19 4-stars. So I think this is what's interesting about this year. So this is the first year that they've been recruiting in the NIL era, name, image, likeness deals. And Texas A&M has just gone all out. So apparently, according to reports, their boosters have just thrown millions of dollars. They're throwing millions of dollars at these recruits for name, image, and likeness sponsorships. Basically, you can just pay the players, is what it comes down to, and funnel it through whatever channel you want.
And think about it like this, too. They're competing against Texas. That's one of the most statured and biggest brands in college football.
But Texas has also had one of their best recruiting years in a while. So
yeah, but they're competing against them. That's the thing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like, can you imagine how inflated their numbers would be if they didn't have Texas and TCU in their state?
They'd probably have about 2 or 3 more 5-stars.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, no, yeah, it is ridiculous. But like I said, according to the reports, the Texas A&M donors have just been throwing ungodly amounts of money at recruits. And I don't blame them. Like, do it if you do it, I guess. And I think this does help drive parity. I really think it does, because now eventually it'll even out where you'll have like 5 teams at the top, but maybe it's A&M for a little bit. Maybe it's Texas. Maybe at some point it's Oklahoma.
It's not Texas, bro. They do this every year. They do this every year, bro.
Fine. Maybe at some point it's Miami or USC Cowboys. Or Florida State. Like these big schools,
bro.
These big schools that can throw. They're not the Cowboys.
No, Texas are the Cowboys of college, where they just are so over.
No, that's USC.
Every year.
USC. That's USC. USC.
Well, not recently. They haven't been hyped up recently
because they suck.
Well, yeah,
they're not even
in
the top 50 recruiting.
They're like never ranked anymore. USC is. Texas is ranked. Weren't they ranked last year?
Yeah.
Like,
and then they were like 500.
Yeah, they're so annoying. It's all that. How is Texas like the best state in the country, but by far has the most annoying fan base in sports? Why is that a thing?
Is that true?
Who's more annoying than Texas fans?
Think like Cowboys fans?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they're just
Lakers fans are
trolling.
pretty
I
bad.
think they're just trolling. But yeah, Lakers fans, I guess Yankees fans, big brands fans. That's why I'm a Packers fan. I don't do big brands.
Oh, shut the hell up.
I don't do big brands.
Stop.
Then our expectations are always low.
Oh my.
Okay.
Not even
So either way,
funny.
we could just move.
Not
Okay. So
even
my point
funny.
is, we could just move past Texas because I don't even want to mention them in the rankings.
Fine. Who do you think's well, okay, so these are all freshmen, so it's like different. So then quick another run through the top 10. Number 6 Penn State, number 7 Notre Dame, number 8 Oklahoma, number 9 Michigan, number 10 Clemson. Funny that Oklahoma's this high and USC is not even in the top 50.
Yeah, I
Like that.
agree. That's really funny.
I do like that. Although yeah, I do enjoy that.
I don't know how good you think USC is going to be next year. I think they're going to win like 7 games ish. I mean, they'll be
I don't
good in
know.
like 2 years probably, but
Maybe. I just enjoy the fact that they're not in the top 50 for rankings and Oklahoma's still up there cuz yeah, screw that, dude. That's
dude,
just dumb.
I will say, look at the Big Ten.
They're doing pretty good. I know. There's some
You know,
schools in here that I feel like usually aren't. Like Maryland's at 31, Iowa's at 30, Rutgers at 33.
okay, this is kind of dumb to think about though, because you know how Oklahoma and Texas are going to the SEC.
Yeah.
They would have 6 teams out of the top 10 in recruiting.
Yikes.
Big Ten would have 3, so they'd have double the Big Ten. And Notre Dame is, Notre Dame, so they're like stuck up and don't want to join a conference. And so they would have double the next closest place in.
Well, and then
just
LSU,
double everybody else, actually.
Well, and then LSU's 12, Kentucky's 13, Missouri's 14, Texas is 16, or Tennessee. Sorry, not Texas. Tennessee. Florida's 19.
I'm surprised Auburn's that low. I'm surprised Auburn's that low.
I'm surprised Florida's that low.
Florida, yeah. I was saying Miami. I'm surprised with them getting Mario Cristobal, who's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but
he's
think,
a Florida in
Miami guy. But you got to think he hasn't had the whole year to recruit, so that's also true.
That's true. You don't think his Oregon guys want to hop on a plane?
It just depends. When you don't have a full year to recruit.
Man, the SEC is they're pretty dominant, bro.
Dude, Vandy's up there. Vandy's at 32.
That's dumb. But
they already got.
I guess if you looking in the top 10, I guess is there any teams you're surprised that were so high? Besides like A&M taking that number 1 spot.
I don't get Penn State's always high, and then they kind of underperform.
Yeah. See, I think James Franklin, because you know how like as a coach, okay, as an NFL coach, you need to lead men and be good schematically. I think those are the 2 like biggest things, is being a leader and just understanding the game.
Right.
In college, you just pretty much add the aspect of recruiting, right? You still need to be a great leader. You still need to know what you're doing, in terms of in terms of football, you need to know what you're doing. But then you also need to recruit. James Franklin is just such like a prominent figure, like just in college football head coaches, that I think he's a great recruiter and a great leader. But he sucks at adjusting in game. So that's one thing that he's just very flawed at. So I think if Penn State really wants to take it to that next step and beat Michigan and beat Ohio State for that Big Ten, talk, winning the Big Ten, they need to get a really elite offensive coordinator in there. especially on offense, it's a lot harder to, I think, come up with game plans and stuff for head coaches. If you're not elite at that, like defense is whatever. If you have good players, they can just make plays. But I think that they need to get an elite offensive coordinator in there in order for Penn State to take that next step.
Yeah, I agree with that because they're always up there, but they just never. Same thing with Michigan. Like Michigan's at number 9. That's what I don't understand. This is what I don't understand. So the last 2 years have been a little bit different, but historically, going back 15, 20 years, Wisconsin has been a better team than Michigan, usually Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, especially Maryland, Rutgers, Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, they're just
Nebraska, and they're recruiting at 45th this year.
Well, dude, commits. That's because they're not a big brand, and they had that good run going where you really have to have momentum as like a small brand in college to start getting players in.
Right.
And they just had that 1 year that they did crap.
Yeah.
And so that completely negates all that they've built up over the last, since 2010.
They just haven't been able to get quarterback right.
And so I think that Wisconsin's in the long haul, I guess, for just trying to get themselves back on top of the Big Ten West. And don't get me wrong, the Big Ten West is nothing compared to the Big Ten East, just especially at the top. Overall, the West might be better, but
there was years there where Wisconsin was easily, if they were in the Big Ten East, they would have been the number 2 team easily.
Yeah, but my point is, they had that 1 year that they did bad. I think that was the first year we lost JT. So
it was
last year. I think last year, the years that we did bad.
Yeah, well, but that was also COVID year. It was a year before.
And so either way, my point is, if you don't have momentum as a small brand, why is players gonna pick you over these big brands? There's no incentive.
You're right. You're 100% right.
So that just completely stopped all their.
Right.
So unfortunately, they're not.
Well, and then we freaking lose to Minnesota instead of going to the Big Ten championship this year.
Sad Wisconsin people. Let's move to Florida or Texas.
No, because we're Bengals fans now, so.
I want to move to Florida or Texas. Florida doesn't have taxes, but they have alligators. So it's kind of like.
Texas doesn't have taxes.
Yeah, but they have big spiders, like bigger than people. So it's kind of like. It's like, what do you.
I'd rather have gators than big spiders.
Actually, that's true.
I can at least see a gator.
Gators are scary. Spiders are just gross.
Spiders are scary and gross.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on from there. I like the LSU. I like how LSU is up there. Big brand. Brian Kelly.
Dude, he needs to stop those videos.
Oh my.
Let's pull this up real quick.
Dude, why was he like? Are you talking about the one where they did that like 360 shot?
So
no.
Is that what you're talking about?
So gross.
He was like rubbing on the player's butt in front of him. Like they were close. They were close, bro. Like that's a little weird if you ask me, but whatever. I think it's funny that Notre Dame was higher than LSU though, but that's kind of expected. It's just funny. Miami, again, I'm surprised that that's low at 15. Michigan State. You figure Michigan State would have got a bump after this year, no?
Maybe they're still up there, so I'm not.
I mean, they're 23, but they didn't have a single 5-star.
Yeah. All right, look at this.
I don't really want to see it. It's kind of gross. Dude, he's like rubbing up on him. Look, his belly's on his.
What is that?
I don't know what's the. Yeah.
You know this guy decommitted? He's going somewhere else now.
Probably because of that video.
What's he doing?
I would bet a lot of money he decommitted because of that, and he found out his coach is a creep.
That's funny. I don't know. Brian Kelly's a good coach. He's just a weirdo. All right. So unless you got anything else that stands out to you,
I'm surprised Minnesota was down at 49th.
Yeah.
Especially after, what happened. You know what happened.
Whatever.
Northwestern. Dude, the Big Ten East kind of sucks, to be honest.
West, you mean?
Or West. Yeah. Big Ten West kind of sucks.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So just quickly, this news came out last week. I just don't think we talked about it. Washington football team got a new name. They're now the Washington Commanders. Or are they the DC Commanders? Washington, I think. They went with Washington Commanders. It's okay. I don't have strong feelings about it.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not mad about it because it's not a super common name, so it's kind of cool.
Their helmets are dumb. They could have made their helmets so much cooler.
That's the thing, is there was so much potential, and they just didn't go for it.
Dude, I like the Washington Wild Hogs way more. That would have been way cooler.
Okay. I think the coolest ones would have been either the Red Wolves or the Red Tails, just because you're still keeping that, like,
yeah,
their history, the red in there. It's kind of like part of their franchise, like the history of it. And on top of that, it's not a common name. It's like the Commanders you see, like, every now and then. Like, even the Armada, I think, would have been better. Wild Hogs, like you said, would have been cool too. Like, they just had so many other. I get it, because they played it safe, I think, is what they did.
Right.
I think they just played it safe, which is fine. It is what it is. But can you imagine if they, like, changed their name to, like, the Red Tails and then, like, made a new stadium, because the one they're playing in right now is, like,
horrible.
A McDonald's Happy Meal, like, quality.
Yeah.
Box quality. And they just made that, like the Washington, D.C., and then they, like, had whatever was sponsoring them, like, Airstrip or something like that. Like, they would call it, like, the Airstrip or something like that. Like, they had so many options.
Yeah.
But they just kind of played it safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like I said, it'll be good if they win, and it sucks
if they win.
When they lose. So
it'll be fine if they win.
Yeah.
If they get Ryan Fitzpatrick back, they're gonna win.
Ryan Fitzmagic. I think he's done. Is he gonna retire? Biggest retirement of the year, Ryan Fitzmagic.
Biggest retirement of my life. If he retires, I'm done watching sports.
Not even just football.
Yeah.
Just sports. Done with sports.
But no.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there. It's just fine.
Yeah. So. All right. So, thanks for listening to this episode of the All Ball Podcast. Again, remember to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at JL All Ball Podcast. Like I said, we're now on YouTube, so be sure to check us out on there. And yeah, so most times we got back to having an hour 1 and 2 this week. I know we didn't on Thursday. That'll occasionally happen, just if we're busy or if not much is going on or whatever. But be sure to tune in next Thursday. We will be doing our Super Bowl preview. So that'll take up a good majority of the episode. We'll be giving our picks, doing a full breakdown of the game. And then after that, we're going to do a Tom Brady tribute, probably next Thursday. So be sure to tune in for that. And of course, our Super Bowl recap on next Tuesday. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and give us a like and review. Deuces.
See you.